Let's see, we got any comments? Uh, Hello, Rockwell. Welcome to the stream, Rockwell. What do you think? You think that the housewives of Epstein Island, you think they're in on it? I mean, you probably guess in 90% of marriages that the husband and the spouse like knows what they're up to, knows what they're doing. Like I would say 90% of marriages. It's very hard for a spouse, especially these days with cameras and background checks and everything. It's really hard for a wife not to know what her husband's up to and vice versa. That's my opinion. And for anyone who had any doubts before, for the way that they were handling the case, the Epstein case, that answer that Pam Bondi gave and the answer that Trump gave, oh, I have no doubt in my mind now that they're complicit, no doubt. He promised to release the Epstein files. He ran on that campaign promise for a year. For a year, and he also, by the way, was promising to lock up Hillary Clinton. The first time Trump ran for president, he promised lock her up, lock her up. He wanted to lock up Hillary Clinton. He didn't. Then the second time he ran for president, he promised about the Epstein and no, that guy is a scumbag apparently, and he's going to go and make Epstein get justice for what happened with Epstein. And then now Trump is like, oh, what Epstein files? So first it's lock up Hillary, lock her up. Trump knows all how nasty Hillary is. He used to say, oh, Hillary's so nasty woman. Trump knows firsthand that Hillary's a nasty woman, and he runs on the campaign promise that he's gonna lock her up. As soon as he gets president, he's gonna lock up Hillary Clinton. Because why should she get away with crimes when everyone else, like, they're literally put someone in prison for looking suspicious in America. They literally racially profile people in America and they put people in prison just for looking suspicious. They racially profile people. But Hillary Clinton, who knowingly committed crimes, is allowed to get away with it. And so Trump said he's going to lock her up. He ran on that campaign promise. In fact, in Canada, we couldn't turn on the Canadian news without seeing lock her up, lock her up, lock up Hillary. It was all over the Canadian news 24/7. And then when Trump gets into power, what does he do? Does Trump lock up Hillary? He doesn't. And then the second time Trump runs for president, he promises about the Epstein files, that he's going to take good care of the Epstein files. He has them for like a whole year, does nothing. I mean, if they find out that someone didn't pay their taxes, like if someone did tax evasion, they what? Like I'm Canadian, right? But like if someone, for example, in the United States didn't pay their taxes and did tax evasion by the IRS, they'd what? Send federal police the next day? They would send federal police, right? Like to bang on that person's door because they did tax evasion. But meanwhile, they have a whole list of supposed pedos on an Epstein list, and they're just like, oh, they're just gonna sit on it for a year. Yeah, they have a whole list of like Epstein pedos, but they're just gonna sit on that for a year. But someone defrauds the IRS. If someone defrauds the IRS, boom, they send a federal police. Why would Canada want to be the 51st state when you guys don't even like those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones? You know what they say? Those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. So I don't know why the United States wants to make Canada part of the 51st state. I don't want to end up on Epstein Island as a slave. I would be a horrible slave. And now you have to be suspect about JD Vance because if Trump was running for the second term, for the second 4-year term, with the intention of covering up the Epstein files, then wouldn't Trump want to pick a vice president who would like be his accomplice in covering up the Epstein files, right? So now JD Vance is totally suspect because if Trump was running on the intention to cover up the Epstein case, if that was his intention for the 4-year run, then wouldn't Trump logically have picked a partner in crime vice president like JD Vance to help him cover up the Epstein files? So what does that say about JD Vance? Because, like they have a famous saying, other than, like, they also say those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, but they also say birds of a feather stick together. Birds of a feather stick together. So clearly, maybe Trump chose JD Vance because JD Vance was going to help Trump cover up the Epstein case, right? I mean, the vice president's got to know stuff. He's got to be complicit. Either you're the most incompetent vice president in the world or you're complicit in the cover up of the Epstein case. Why would Hillary spill the beans if she's in on it with Trump? If Hillary and Trump are both in on it together, then why would Hillary spill the beans on her accomplice Trump? Because we saw that Trump had the opportunity, he had every resource in the world. He literally ran on the campaign promise. Trump said for the first 4 years that he was running for president, Trump promised that he was going to drain the swamp and lock up Hillary. We literally in Canada, 24/7 on the Canadian news. We couldn't open the news without hearing how Trump wanted to lock her up, lock up Hillary. Trump knows how nasty Hillary is. Trump said Hillary's a nasty woman, and Trump knows how nasty she is. She gets freaky and nasty, and Trump's gonna lock her up. And did he? No, he didn't. He had every reason. He said he would. He pretended as if, oh, he doesn't like Hillary. He doesn't know Hillary. He doesn't. He wants to lock her up because he knows how nasty of a woman she is. Maybe she's in the Epstein tapes. And Trump promised to lock up Hillary. And then did he? Trump literally had every resources. He had the police. Trump had everything as a president. The president has the most power, or at least it's one of the most power presidents. And Trump, he could have, if he wanted to, he could have locked Hillary up. He really could have. But did he? No. So what does that tell you? Logically, obviously, it doesn't take a Canadian Sherlock Holmes to put two and two together that Trump and Hillary Clinton are in on it together. Because if Trump promised for 4 years that he was going to lock up Hillary, lock her up, and he didn't, why didn't he do it? Because him and Hillary are tight. They're like bros, whatever. They're comrades. They're compadres. They're like Ben and Jerry. Oh, well, actually, I like Ben and Jerry ice cream. I shouldn't have said that. They're like Bonnie and Clyde. They're like Bonnie and Clyde. They're like Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka. They're like Thelma and Louise. Although I kind of think Thelma and Louise were probably innocent. And by the way, just so you know, so no one tries to say, oh, I'm spilling the beans on the United States. First off, I'm Canadian, so go ahead and try touching me from the United States. I dare you to try to come across the Canadian border. You won't make it past the Canadian snipers. First off. Second, I actually didn't spill the beans. The Simpsons spilled the beans first. And this is the first time I'll tell you when the Simpsons spilled the beans. It was a long time ago. It was an episode where the Democrat political candidate and the Republican political candidate were holding hands. It was a very famous Simpson episode. It was a Halloween episode of The Simpsons where the Democrat nominee for president and the Republican nominee for president were holding hands. And the guy's like, sir, maybe you shouldn't be holding hands with this person who's supposed to be your political opponent. And this was in reference to how corrupt the Democrats and Republicans are. They're the two sides of the same coin. The Simpsons told us this in that episode. It couldn't have been more obvious in that episode. The Simpsons were telling us that the Democrats are corrupt and the Republicans are corrupt. And then that's why at the end of the episode, people were like, "We should vote for an independent. We should vote for an independent candidate." And then the guy's like the alien president. He's like, "Go ahead, throw your vote away," because they know that if you vote for an independent, it's like throwing your vote away. The independents never win. So there you go. Like the Simpsons did it first. The Simpsons exposed how corrupt American elections are. And don't get me wrong, Canadian elections are corrupt too. Trust me. Trust me. Canadian elections are corrupt. But America, you are the number one superpower of the world. Whatever the United States government does affects the entire world. It's true. So it does affect Canada. Whatever the United States does affects Canada. Whatever the United States does affects Russia. Whatever the United States does affects China and Cuba. So yeah, it is our business. Especially when you're doing these wars on the Middle East and you're doing all, it does it affects everyone. The United States affects everyone. The actions of the United States affects the entire world. Especially since too the United States, we have to worry Canada because what if, like for example, they put an even like a really crazy person in the White House? You guys have nuclear weapons. The United States of America has access to nuclear weapons, and if the United States of America puts a really crazy person in the White House to has access who can push the red button, that's a major national security issue for Canada. Canada doesn't want to like we have to sleep next to you guys. We have to sleep above you guys. Canada is like America's cold attic, and we have to make sure the foundation is firm. So it does affect Canada. You know, if you guys put a crazy person in the White House who has access to all these nuclear weapons, and it's not like you never used them before. We all remember when you dropped two nukes on Japan. Canada remembers when America dropped two nukes on Japan. Canada remembers because we were discussing it with the Germans. Which, by the way, I was in Germany many times, and I was at Oktoberfest with those delightful Germans, eating sausages and drinking jugs of beer with the beautiful women with the lederhosen walking around with the jugs of beer and sausages. And I was dancing and having a great time at Oktoberfest. And I kept thinking to myself, why would the United States fight with these people? These Germans are so nice. These Germans are the nicest people in the world, bringing beer and sausages, and we're having a good time and dancing. Why would the United States fight with these people? And I was in Japan, and it was the same thing in Japan. I went to Japan. We were having sushi and playing video games in Japan and eating sushi. And they had these beautiful kimonos. The Japanese people are so beautiful. Beautiful kimonos. They have origami, beautiful origami. They have a really strong work ethic in Japan. Beautiful landscape, cherry blossom trees, and beautiful hills. And Japan is gorgeous. Sushi, and the Japanese people were so nice, and I kept thinking to myself, why would the Americans drop two nuclear bombs on these people? These Japanese people are the nicest people I've ever met. And then I went to France. But yeah, the Japanese people are the nicest people I've ever met. And the Germans. The Germans and the Japanese people are nice. I had a great time in Japan and Germany for how nice the Japanese and German people are. They are definitely not rude. The Japanese and German people are definitely not rude people. And then I went to France. So, anyways, let's talk more about the United States. Everyone keeps pushing AOC. I see all of these news articles in Canada. I guess Canada really wants AOC to win the next election. I don't know why. But Canadian news, constantly, they keep showing these great commercials about AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's as if AOC is Canada's pick to win the next American election. I swear. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's obviously would be good for Canada. Obviously, it would be good for Canada if AOC wins because apparently AOC is like Canada's pick. At least she's not Russia's pick, but she's Canada's pick. So I don't know what that says about AOC, but Canada definitely wants AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to win the next American election. And I know she's pretty young, but apparently she just AOC just turned the age to where she's qualifies to be president. It's 35, right? To be president of the United States, you have to be at least 35 years of age. So AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she is now of age to be president. She's pretty young. I know Trump likes women young, but she's old enough to be president, which is good. So I would like a scientist. I mean, I don't want AOC. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really want AOC because I don't know, something about AOC rubs me the wrong way. And I would love it for a scientist to be the next president of the United States. Has the United States of America, the biggest superpower in the world, ever had a scientist, like a really smart mathematician, scientist, astrophysicist, to be the president of the United States of America? Like, what about Neil deGrasse Tyson? Neil deGrasse Tyson is a brilliant astrophysicist, or it doesn't have to be him. We could have another science guy. I don't know. Even at least Bill Nye the Science Guy is at least some kind of science guy. I don't know if he's anyway. But yeah, imagine if we had a scientist, like a mathematician, and this, that would be amazing as president of the United States. That's who I want. I don't want AOC, honestly. Especially since Canada loves AOC so much, I don't trust AOC, honestly. Like I said, I never claimed that Canada is perfect. I never claimed, but like what I'm saying is Canada, we don't have access to nuclear weapons. And if the United States, because you guys have access to nuclear weapons, that's why it's serious. That's why it really matters for the world who the president is. Because if you put a crazy person in the White House in America and they have access to nuclear weapons, that is a national security threat for France, for Germany, for Japan, for Russia, for North Korea, for China. That is a security threat for Iran, for everybody. If you put a crazy American in the White House that has access to nuclear weapons. So that's why it does matter who is the next American president. And for anyone who says, nuclear war, it'll never happen, nuclear war, the chances of nuclear war happening, first off, America did drop two nukes on Japan in World War II. Second, nobody probably saw World War II happening, but it did. I'm sure there's all these people right before World War II who said, oh yeah, World War II will never happen. They're all talk. All the politicians are all talk. World War II will never happen. And guess what? It happened. And I bet those World War II people prior to World War II, they were saying the same thing. They said, oh, World War II never happened. It's never going to happen. There are probably people who said to themselves, oh, 9/11, 9/11 would never happen. Oh, 9/11? People flying planes in the Twin Towers? That would never happen. Not in a million years. I'm gonna bet my I'm gonna bet my farm. Like seriously. So it could happen. It really could. 9/11 happened, World War II happened, COVID. There's probably all of these scientists that said, oh, COVID? COVID will never happen. Not in a million years will COVID happen. And it happened. So, for anyone who tries to tell me that nuclear war is not serious, it's very serious. In fact, it's so serious that your director of national intelligence, your director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, feels so incompetent that she has to come on social media and complain and whine that she is really scared, that she doesn't know what she's doing, and she's worried that there could be another nuclear war. She literally has a video, a very popular video with millions of views, where Tulsi Gabbard warns everyone that it's very possible we could have another nuclear war very soon. Why would she do that if there wasn't a real security issue? Look, Tulsi Gabbard, if you can't handle being the director of national intelligence for the United States of America, give me the job. I'm a smart-ass Canadian. Give the job to a smart-ass Canadian. I can do it. If you can't handle being the director of national intelligence for the United States of America, give me the job. I speak Russian-ish. I'm pretty smart, I think. Well, I'll tell you what. You want to know something? You see, right before the war, or no, right after, sorry, right after the war started with Russia and Ukraine, what did they do? What did these big companies do? So first off, the big companies, they boycotted Russia, right? They put sanctions on Russia. They boycotted Russia. They took all of their products from Russia, including Disney. Very sad for those Russian kids who lost Disney movies. I guess they just yanked the Disney movie right out of the cassette player while the Russian kids were watching Disney. So Disney boycotted Russia. Disney left Russia. Starbucks left Russia. McDonald's left Russia. And you know who else left Russia? The beer companies. The beer companies left Russia. You took the drunkest country in the world with the drunkest army and you sobered them up. If I was the director of national intelligence for the United States of America, I'd say, hey, give these people more alcohol. Let's make these Russians even drunker. Let's make this Russian army even drunker. But you sobered these people up. No wonder now they're the best army. You just took the drunkest army in the world and you sobered them up. No wonder they invaded Ukraine. They probably invaded Ukraine just because they went through withdrawals, because you sobered the Russians up. All these beer companies, oh, we're gonna sober up the Russians and remove all this beer from all these beer companies are gonna boycott Russia and make the Russians sober. That'll show them. And then sure enough, the Russians are now like this, the Russian army so much better because they're all sober. So as director of national intelligence, if me, a smartass Canadian, was the director of national intelligence for the United States of America, the first thing I would do is send those beer companies back to Russia. Give the Russians more beer, more alcohol. That's what I would do. And also probably something with China, because I'm always scared about the Chinese. They're always up to something, so. But yeah, Russia, we need to, yeah. Let's have a big party, invite a bunch of Russians, get them drunk. Just like what did we do in Germany? See, that's why everyone loves Germany, because every time we go to Germany, we have beer, we have sausages, we have Oktoberfest, we're all dancing and having a great time. That's why everyone loves Germany, because the Germans know the secret to happiness. Beer, alcohol, sausages, sometimes a little light espionage, but mainly beer, sausages. I mean, I don't fully trust, anyways, beer, sausages. I love Germany. I love Oktoberfest. And Germany, which by the way, in case people don't realize, like a lot of our technology and science and innovations, it all came from Germany. Like Germany was a hotbed for scientists. In fact, you probably know about Operation Paperclip. So Operation Paperclip was a famous CIA operation after World War II in which Russia and the United States were desperately trying to recruit German scientists. After World War II, Operation Paperclip, the Russians and the Americans were both desperately trying to recruit as many German scientists as possible. So the Americans were trying to undermine the Soviets by taking the German scientists, and the Soviets were trying to undermine the Americans by taking the German scientists. So that's how smart the Germans were. So the Germany's not just a place of beer and sausages. It's also, you know, they're really smart, intelligent people. I don't trust them. I'll never trust them, but I definitely there's definitely very smart, intelligent people. The Germans for sure. I mean, I'm just joking. Of course, I trust the Germans. I trust the Russians. I trust the Chinese. I trust the North Koreans. I trust the Iranians. I trust everybody. You know, Canada, that's why everyone loves us. We're friends with everybody. We're friends with the North Koreans. We're friends with the Iranians. We're friends with the Cubans. Canada's friends with everyone. The only people we're not friends with is the United. We're Canada. We're friends with everybody and everybody. So no, seriously though, Canada, we are a great country, and we need to remain Canada. We cannot be a 51st state. So I just caught up on the comments. Yeah, I know that Russia has their own beer company. In fact, Russia, after McDonald's left, Russia just changed the name to Kusnai Tochka. So clearly the Russians, they're not like so incompetent that, oh, if the Western companies boycott Russia, Russia will collapse. Clearly the Russians are very competent people. They know how to make food. They know how to have like their own beer companies. But what I'm saying was that it definitely didn't help. It definitely made access to beer more harder, and it definitely did kind of sober up the Russians. Not completely, but it definitely did sober the Russians up a bit. So of course, when the Western American beer companies boycotted Russia and left Russia, it doesn't mean that there's no longer any alcohol in Russia, but there's a lot less than there was before. And you did kind of sober up a lot of the Russians. So that's what I meant. It didn't mean that like, oh, and like when McDonald's, like when I said McDonald's left Russia, I wasn't saying, oh, that means Russia has no more food. Russia has no more. McDonald's left Russia. Russia has no more food now. Like, obviously Russia still has food, but they have less food. And Starbucks. Now that Starbucks left Russia, oh Jesus, now the Russians can't pay $20 for a cup of coffee. Oh, that's so awful. Starbucks left Russia. Now the Russians can't be scammed to pay $20 for a cup of coffee no more. Oh, that's so awful that Starbucks left Russia. You know, the Federalная служба безопасности, the FSB, the Kremlin, the FSB, the Russian Kremlin, they already had an issue with alcoholism in Russia. It's very, anyone who studied Russian history, they had a lot of advertisements where they tried to curb alcoholism in Russia, especially during the Soviet Union. There were a lot of problems with alcoholism. And so Americans taking away a lot of these beer companies, it was like the Kremlin was like, this is great. This is great for now. There's less alcohol in Russia. There's going to be less Russians, not less Russians, less alcoholics in Russia. Because it's true, if you take away alcohol, at least not all of it, but if you take away some of it, you're going to sober up the Russians. But what's more concerning to me is how Gabbard was at that committee hearing for the DNI committee hearing, Tulsi Gabbard, and she suddenly says, "Oh, she's worried about the Japanese building up their infrastructure and the Japanese people building having an army building up their infrastructure." Have the Japanese people not proven themselves as trustworthy allies to the United States? What is more does the Japanese people have to do? Okay, I get it. In World War II, the Japanese and the Americans were definitely not allies. But since World War II, it's been what, 60, 70 years? And the Japanese have been trusted allies of the United States. So for Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, to get at that committee hearing and say publicly in front of the world, she doesn't really trust the Japanese. What a slap in the face to the Japanese. That is so insulting. The Japanese have proven themselves to be trusted allies of the United States for like 60, 70 years. And for Tulsi Gabbard to get on that committee hearing in front of the whole world, it's on YouTube, and for to say, oh, she's worried about the Japanese building up their infrastructure, like insinuating she doesn't trust the Japanese. What an insult to the Japanese people. If I were Japanese, I'd be offended. You know, words hurt. Sometimes the little things that you say, they really hurt people. And also the two nuclear bombs that killed millions of innocent Japanese families in World War II, that probably hurt a lot too. But also words, especially words hurt. And for Tulsi Gabbard to say something like, "Oh, she's worried about the Japanese people building up their infrastructure," that's offensive to the Japanese. Especially after America dropped two nuclear bombs on Japan, turning millions of Japanese families into radioactive sushi. That was really offensive what Tulsi Gabbard said about the Japanese. She's worried about them building up their infrastructure. That was just awful. I mean, she's right though. I don't trust them either, but still. China was probably laughing their asses off. I could just see China in the corner, like laughing, like they can't, they can't control their excitement. The Japanese people walking around with the Americans be like, "We're tight, bro. We like this." The Japanese and the Americans, we like this. And then until Gabbard gets on stage, and the next thing you know, the Japanese are laughing their asses, or the Chinese are laughing their asses off. Yes. Okay. So my name is Okay, so your name. So someone came in my live stream and their name is my name is. So your name is my name is. Anyways, your name is confusing. Anyways, so someone came in and they said another bad take. Japan was colonized by the USA after the war, and trust between countries doesn't operate like between humans. You always have to be cautious. Yeah, you always have to be cautious, but that doesn't mean that you get on stage in front of the whole world and embarrass a country that's your best ally. Like, there's a difference between being cautious. Like, I'm cautious about the Russians, and I studied Russian for years, but I don't walk around being like, oh, I don't fucking trust those people. Like, especially when they smile at you with that creepy smile. But that's what I'm saying. It's like you don't embarrass people like that. Tulsi Gabbard, list Japan has been a trusted ally of the United States for like 70 years. How much more does the Japanese people need to do to prove themselves that they are trustworthy allies of the United States? And then Tulsi Gabbard gets on the stage and she's like, she's worried about the Japanese people building up their infrastructure, insinuating like she doesn't trust these people. That is so wrong. Like, you just embarrassed the shit out of millions of Japanese people who have proven themselves to be trustworthy allies of the United States. So yeah, it's good to be cautious. You have to be cautious about everyone. But that doesn't mean you should, you be really careful with what you say. I mean, you need to be careful with what you say when you're the director of national intelligence. It really matters. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what all of these Joe Blow, average Blows say, because we don't really have that much power. Our word doesn't have. So if I say something, it's not as big, it doesn't carry as much weight as when the director of national intelligence says something. Like, everyone's watching what she has to say. She's the director of national intelligence. And the Japanese, you better believe the Japanese are looking at everything that she says. And for her to be so insulting to them, that's just awful. And the Japanese people, they're so thin, they're so healthy. Sushi makes you really healthy. If you eat sushi, you're like really healthy. For real. Like, I remember getting into a Japanese elevator. No, no, sorry. It was a Canadian elevator. Canadian or Japanese or German or North Korean. And it said, this elevator can hold like 50 Japanese people or 10 Americans. Yeah, so the Japanese people are extremely healthy. They eat sushi. Sushi is so healthy for you. You know the seaweed? You know the seaweed in the sushi rolls? That is one of the most healthiest things you can eat. No wonder the Japanese people are living at least minimum 90. Like, the Japanese people, their average lifespan is like in their 90s. Don't you want to live to your 90s? Right? So that's why it's good to say, why are these people living so much longer than we are? Right? It's because of the food that they eat. The Japanese people, the sushi is one of the most healthiest lifestyles. And if you want to live longer and you want to be healthier, then sometimes you gotta, like, walk like the Egyptians, right? Actually, I had this idea for a reality show. It'd be really cool, actually. So imagine if, because, let's say people who really want to study the Egyptian life, what was it really like to be the Egyptians? How did they build the pyramids? We still don't know for sure how they built the Egyptian pyramids. It's still a mystery. So we could have a reality show, because America loves reality shows. America is a reality show. And we could have a reality show where we take like 20, 30 people. Okay, we're not going to take people from the Jersey Shore. We're going to take people who like will respect the pyramid. And we could say, like, and we obviously would have to get permission of from Egypt, which you know what that means, right? So money. We get permission from Egypt, and it would be like a sociological experiment. Imagine we take 20, 30 people, probably scientists, and we say, you have to live in a pyramid for 2 months. And you have to do everything like the Egyptians did. Well, not everything. Obviously, you can't do mummification. You can't do mummies and stuff like that. That stuff you can't do. But mostly everything, like read hieroglyphs, walk like an Egyptian, talk like an Egyptian. And for 2 months, What better way to study what it was really like to be like the Egyptians than to have to live in a pyramid for 2 months and, except that the pyramids, I don't think they lived in the pyramids, but still, the Japanese, or not Japanese, the Egyptians, they were really intelligent people. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, the Egyptians from a previous time, like, built a time machine and, like, got in the time machine. And the next thing you know, there's all these Egyptians coming out and were wiped out by the Egyptians. Like, seriously, the Egyptians were so intelligent. Like, how we still don't even know how they built the pyramids. Like, how, with all our modern technology, do we still not know how they built the pyramids? So, what better way to study Egyptology and study the Egyptians is to live like an Egyptian and challenge, take 20, 30 scientists, put them in a pyramid together for 2, 3 months and see what it was really like to be an Egyptian. Of course, minus the mummy stuff. Obviously, they can't do mummy stuff and like wrap people in toilet paper and then bury them like mummy. Anyways. Or maybe they will. Who knows? Anything can happen on a reality show. You never know what happens on reality shows. I've been shocked before, literally, when I was tasered by the American police. I've been shocked before, so I wouldn't be surprised. I wasn't doing anything illegal in the United States. Like, I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. I don't drive fast. Okay. I don't break the law at all. Okay. I'm a really upstanding, lawful person. And then the next thing you know, these Americans arrested me, said I'm spreading socialism, I'm spreading communism, I'm trying to overthrow the United States government in favor of and like all of these crazy accusations the American police were throwing at me. And I'm like, Jesus, if Canadians are not allowed to walk around the White House and snoop around the White House, then you should put a sign. You should put a very big sign that says Canadians, suspicious Canadians are not allowed to walk and go through the White House and go through secret government files. I thought we were supposed to be allies. I thought the United States and Canada were supposed to be allies. Is this how you treat your allies? You don't let your Canadian allies go through and rummage through your White House files? No, I didn't go near the White House. I'm just joking. But like, just for example, if Canada and the United States are supposed to be allies, then why is the United States keeping secrets from Canada? Like Canada, we don't keep any anyways, America, United States, why are you keeping secrets from Canada if we're supposed to be such great allies, the United States and Canada? Explain that one to me. Do you not trust us? Do you not trust your Canadian allies? Obviously, you don't trust the Japanese, and for good reason, but heck, look, the Canadians, we have never done anything to Americans. Other than the War of 1812, where Canada kicked America's ass and won. Other than that, Canadians have never done anything to Americans. So why wouldn't you trust some Canadians rummaging through the White House? I don't get it. I don't. We were supposed to be friends, bro. We were honestly Canada and the United States. We were supposed to be allies. This is the way you treat us. Now I really don't feel bad for us Canadians secretly betraying you to the North Koreans. Now we don't feel bad after you Americans show such disrespect to your Canadian allies, saying you want to take Canada over. There's all of these Canadians. Half of Canada is pro the United States. Half of Canada is pro the rest of the world. That's literally what it is. In Canada, half of Canada is on America's side, and then half of Canada is on the rest of the world's side. So there's all of these Canadians, these pro-American Canadians, that keep saying, "Oh, America protects Canada in case of a Russian invasion. America protects Canada from the Russians invading." And you know what I say? You know what I think? I think Russia protects Canada from an American invasion. Because right now, the Russians aren't threatening to take over Canada. It's the United States. The Americans are threatening to take over Canada. They want to make Canada the 51st state. So if anyone's protecting anyone from an invasion, the Russians are protecting Canada from an American invasion. And also, we got a bunch of North Koreans in the back. So if you Americans try anything, we got North Koreans up here, we got Iranians, we got Russians, we got a whole bunch of Chinese. So Canada, we're well protected. Canada, we're good up here. Other than the extremely cold weather, that anyways, we got some moose. You know moose? Moose are dangerous animals. They're huge moose. They're like moose are like I swear moose are the if you just go search on YouTube like what's the most dangerous animal? The moose. Moose can like even the bears. There's grizzly bears running from the moose. Like grizzly bears in Canada, they act all tough. They see a moose, they're like, oh, good day, sir. I'm gonna keep walking. Yeah, I don't want any trouble. I don't want. That's literally grizzly bears. They act like the most toughest animals. They see a moose, they're like, oh. When a grizzly bear is scared, then that's when you know that an animal's tough, because the moose are tough animals. So let's see, we have another my okay, it's the same guy. My name is. Listen, I told you, I said half of Canada is pro-American, half of Canada is pro the rest of the world. That's what I said. I didn't say that all Canadians, so you can't paint a whole country as one brush. So I clearly said half of Canada is pro-American, the other half is pro the rest of the world. Half of Canada is pro-Russia, half of Canada is pro-North Korea, half of Canada is pro-Iran. And we have them, they're everywhere. Like we have Russians everywhere in Canada, we have North Koreans, we have Iranians, we have Cubans. I don't know Americans, what did you Americans do to the nice Swedish people? Because I swear to God, I thought that I knew all of America's enemies. Like I studied World War II with America and Germany and Japan and the Cold War with Russia and America and had this embargo with Cuba and America fought with the Middle East after 9/11. I thought I knew all of America's enemies. I come across this Swedish volleyball team, right? This nice Swedish volleyball team playing volleyball in Canada. And I come across these nice Swedish people, and I think, oh, these Swedish people, these are nice Swedish people. They were the most anti-American people I've ever heard. What did you Americans do to the nice Swedish people? Why did you make the Swedish volleyball team cry? Okay, those girls playing volleyball, okay, at the Swedish volleyball event, whatever in Canada. No, seriously though, seriously, even Sweden. Sweden is like, well, they're kind of a wild card. Sweden's always been a wild card, but Sweden actually recently joined NATO. So NATO, right? This is what NATO is for people who don't know what NATO is. NATO is a big gang of countries that decide to gang up on Russia. That's what NATO is. It's like a big gang. It's like the Bloods or the Cribs or the Hells Angels or Scientologists. NATO is a big gang of countries that decided to gang up on Mother Russia. So Sweden recently wanted to join NATO. But just because Sweden joins NATO, I don't think that necessarily means that Sweden is pro-American because NATO wasn't designed to protect the United States. NATO was designed to be a big gang of countries to protect themselves from Russia. That's what NATO was built for. So Tulsi Gabbard is on stage saying that about the Japanese. Honey, you should be looking at NATO. Okay? You should be looking at the NATO because what has NATO been doing? NATO, like they have their own culture, they have their own army now. NATO is becoming very powerful. The Germans, the French, the Italians, the Spanish, the Polish, they're all like, what if we all got together and worked together like a big gang? That's pretty scary. That's intimidating. So I think Tulsi Gabbard should be more concerned about NATO than she should be about Japan, in my opinion. Actually, forget NATO. Let's talk about Emmanuel Macron's wife or husband or whatever the hell she is. Sorry, whatever it is. They. I don't know what their personal pronouns. They, it, whatever. Um, whatever they are, I don't know what they are, but let's talk about that thing that Emmanuel Macron married. Let's just call her a thing, okay? I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't know what her personal pronoun is. I don't know if it's a her. I don't know if it's a him. I don't know. Like one side of people says it's a he, the other side of people says it's a her. Candace Owens famously has that YouTube video where she says that she won in court or something about proving that it's a dude, that Emmanuel Macron, the French president, married a dude. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and be respectful, and because I really don't know for sure if like no one's we have one side of people saying it's a he, one side of people saying it's a her. So I'm just gonna be respectful and call it a thing. Let's call it a thing. Um, so. So Emmanuel Macron's thing, his thing, he married that thing for years. He's been married to that thing for many years. Emmanuel Macron has married that thing. And we don't really know for sure exactly what that thing is. But why is America, like, what is the agenda here? Is America trying to meddle in French politics? What is the agenda with Candace Owens in this? Like, what is so? Okay, you prove that it's a man. We get it. We've always known that the French have been freaky people. We've always known that the French have been freaky. What is the agenda here? And listen, I'm not. I'm gonna be the first to admit that they could sometimes it's creepy. People can be creepy. I get it. But what is the end goal for America? What are you trying to accomplish with the French government? Are you trying to overthrow the French government? Like what's the point here? Or is it just to prove that she's a man? But how is her being a man? How is that going to make Americans healthier, have more money in their pockets, make Americans safer? How is proving that Emmanuel Macron's wife, a thing, a man, whatever she is, I don't know, an alien. Let's just call her an alien. I mean, I would love to be called an alien. Aliens are like, I just imagine the aliens to be so nice and friendly. I just hope that if we ever come across aliens, they're these nice, beautiful people. Not like the aliens in the alien movies where they rip your head off. I really hope if we ever come across nice aliens, they're nice people. But let's just call her whatever, a thing, an alien, whatever she is, a man or woman. I don't know what her personal pronoun is. Okay, we'll just call her French. I think French pretty much covers everything. So let's just call her French. She's a French thing. She's a French thing. And what is Candace Owens? I get it. I get it. She lied. I get it. This person lied. They pretended to be something they weren't, like every politician. But what is the purpose here, Candace Owens? Why are you trying to dig into French politics? Like, I mean, Canadians, we never meddle in American elections. Canada, we never talk shit about you Americans. We never do that. So Candace Owens, you are an American woman. What is your agenda with exposing the French Prime Minister and his lady thingy majiggy? Why are you trying to expose the French Prime Minister, Emmanuel Macron's French President, Emmanuel Macron's lady thingamajig? Why are you trying to expose that? Okay. Do you really have genuine concern? Do you really have genuine concern, Candace Owens? You're sitting there, and like I said, I am referencing a lawsuit that Candace Owens claims to have won, in which it was proven that Emmanuel Macron's husband thingy, whatever, it was a him or her, it's not, it's a man. So I'm referencing the Candace Owens case that she so proudly boasts as a victory. First off, listen, Candace Owens, if I'm going to be celebrate a victory, this is the victory that I would celebrate. I would celebrate a victory, Americans and Canadians getting more money in their pocket. Americans and Canadians becoming safer. Americans and Canadians improving the environment, cleaning up the pollution. You can't see the Hollywood sign. You can't even see the Hollywood sign. That's how polluted Hollywood is. And you're standing there thinking, oh, we have such a victory because we exposed the French president's a wifey thingy to be a manny thingy, whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, hey, Candace Owens, where are your priorities at? When you have LA, which is covered in smog and you can't even see the Hollywood sign, you have all these homeless people all over California. California is on fire. Okay, California is like its own thing. So let's just, you have 9/11, you have mad cow disease, COVID. When you have all of this stuff in America, why is Candace Owens fixated so much on American politics? As if exposing, sure, it's creepy. The situation is creepy. In my opinion, actually, what's more creepy is how like Candace Owens is like really digging into like the French president's wifey, whatever she is. Like that's kind of, you're not even French. Like I could see the French people doing it. I could see the French people wanting to know, right? But Candace Owens, you're not even French. You're like halfway across the world. I don't even know how you got access to those documents. Like, is Candace Owens a spy for the CIA? How did you get access to secret French documents that proves that Emmanuel Macron, the French president's wife, is a man? It's kind of like that Ace Ventura movie. Remember when they all find out that it's a man? Remember the Ace Ventura movie with Jim Carrey? Which, by the way, Jim Carrey, of course, you know Jim Carrey is Canadian. I don't think his jokes are funny, but anyways, Jim Carrey is Canadian. He's a Canadian comedian. He was in famous films like Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura: Pet Detective and Bruce Almighty. So Jim Carrey in that famous Ace Ventura movie, when they all find out at the end that it's a man, they all start barfing, right? So all the people and the actors in the Ace Ventura movie with Jim Carrey, they all start barfing when they find out it's a man. So I'm guessing that France had probably a similar reaction, but let's be respectful here. Let's be respectful and say that maybe they were just barfing because of something they ate, okay? Because anyways, so you know what I'm talking about with the whole what happened in Fleur de Lis, anyways. So you know what I'm talking about with the event with anyways. So let's be respectful here. Candace Owens, how did you get this top secret French information on like this inside information on the French Prime Minister's wifey thingy majiggy? How did you get this information? Are you an American spy, Candace Owens? How did you get this information? You're all the way across the world. It's not even you're in like Germany, and of course the Germans would know everything. The Germans always know everything. The Germans always are always up to something. But Candace Owens, you are an American, halfway across the world. And rather than, I would be focusing all my energy on putting more money in Canadian taxpayers, putting more money in Canadians' pockets, putting more money in Americans' pockets, cleaning up the environment, cleaning up the Hollywood sign so that people could actually see the Hollywood sign because it's so polluted, cleaning up California. Like, I would be focused so much more on those issues, but Candace Owens is spending so much time and resources saying that she got this inside information on the French president's wifey thingy majiggy, whatever, he, him, her, it, and you're standing there like, oh, now we have a victory. The United States has a victory. Meanwhile, the United States is still covered in pollution. There's Muslim, not Muslim, sorry. Okay, let's just, so to be politically correct, I almost said Muslim terrorists, but that is wrong because we don't even know for sure exactly how 9/11 happened. So let's go ahead. I don't want to single out the Muslims. We don't know who did it. Anyway, somebody, it was probably a bunch of Canadians. Well, I know anyways, it was somebody did 9/11. Somebody I don't know, whoever did 9/11 was definitely in on it with George Bush. Because if you saw that picture with George Bush, anyways. So before I dig myself into a hole, let's get away from 9/11 for a second. And let's go back to Candace Owens. Are you an American spy? How do you get this inside information on the French president's wifey thingy-majig? Did you get it from the Germans? Did you get it from the Italians? Did you get it from the Polish? How did you get it? I am more concerned that you are not only meddling in the French politics and French elections, and clearly this is going to affect the French politics for real. Not only are you meddling in French politics, but how, Candace Owens? I thought you were just like some YouTube star, some really beautiful YouTube star. I thought Candace Owens was this gorgeous, just beautiful model, beautiful YouTube star, and suddenly you get all of this inside information on the French president's wifey, whatever it, him or her, him, her, it, rainbow, whatever. How? So I think Candace Owens is an American spy. I think she works for the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, because then how do you explain that she gets all this inside information? The French government was probably like, how did she get this? How does she know? We don't. Maybe the French government didn't even know. The French government, they're all throwing up, like in that Ace Ventura movie with Jim Carrey. The French government, they're all of them, they're all throwing up when they find out the truth. So. I mean, I have no problem with uh American football. I love American football. I have no problem with American football. In fact, I watch the Super Bowl every year. I love the Super Bowl. Um, I always just used to watch The Apprentice with Donald Trump. That was great. Donald Trump, you could tell he's a really good man. He loves to fire people, and anyone who loves firing people is you can tell that they're like a good soul. They're like a really good person. So I used to love watching The Apprentice. I used to love watching Donald Trump fire people. I think Elon Musk. I think Elon Musk should bring back The Apprentice for real. But not this. Let's go with the original The Apprentice, right? Let's go with the original Apprentice with like Omarosa, and she made everyone hate business people again. You remember when Omarosa in the first season, she got everyone pissed off and she got all of America riled up, and then everyone started to hate bad business practices again. Bad business practices. That's why we have the Better Business Bureau. We have the Better Business Bureau because there's a lot of scamming businesses out there. But anyways, so oh, isn't that funny? They had Trump Ice. Remember, Trump Ice was like that water company that Trump had called Trump Ice. It was like a water bottle. It was a bottle of water bottle. It was a bottle of water, Trump Ice. And then Trump Ice, the water bottle, turned into, or the bottle of water, the brand name bottle of water, Trump Ice, turned into like real ice agents. It went from Trump Ice, the water bottle company, to turning into real ice agents. Anyways, so I think it would be actually that's a way they could bust people on. They could just invite them to The Apprentice. Like they could just have an episode of The Apprentice where Donald Trump is inviting everyone to this job interview, this big job interview at The Apprentice, and the next thing you know, ICE agents start going out, right? And they're like, haha, they're like, you can't work for $5 an hour picking fruit anymore for us. You can't you now Americans have to pick fruit for $5 an hour. So anyways, so basically that they could I think Elon Musk could bring back The Apprentice, and the first thing Elon Musk should do on the first episode of The Apprentice, um, to show what a humble guy Elon Musk is Elon Musk should give everyone a drug test. Elon Musk, who's clearly not a drug addict himself, because Elon Musk is a man of the law. Elon Musk is a man of the law and would never do drugs. And Elon Musk should bring back The Apprentice, and on the very first episode, to prove how Elon Musk is not above the law, he should administer a drug test to everyone on the first episode of the new Apprentice, Elon Musk. Just imagine Elon Musk running the next Apprentice. I mean, I definitely don't want him running the country because he definitely is a drug something. But Elon Musk for sure could definitely bring back The Apprentice. That would be hilarious. That would be great. And maybe Elon Musk could actually hire some really qualified rocket scientists, because I think it's a problem. I don't know, I might be wrong. I might be wrong because I'm not a rocket scientist myself. I'm not a brilliant rocket scientist. But and it's just a gut feeling. It's just an intuition. I have a bit of an intuition that when a rocket goes into space and explodes, that wasn't the intended result. I don't know, like I'm not this brilliant rocket scientist. I'm not a rocket scientist like Elon Musk, who's so brilliant. But I just have this intuition that when Elon Musk is sending rockets into space and they're exploding in space in midair, that's not a good thing. So maybe when Elon Musk brings back The Apprentice, he can actually hire some real rocket scientists who know what they're doing. Like, why don't you hire some rocket scientists from other countries, like some Russian rocket scientists, or some Chinese rocket scientists, or Japanese or German rocket scientists? Clearly, the American rocket scientists, I mean, you know, they're exploding. The rockets are exploding in midair. So. But listen, I have no right to judge because I'm not a brilliant rocket scientist. I could never build a wonderful rocket that explodes as soon as it lifts off. I could never do that. So I'm just, I'm a nobody. So I have no right to judge Elon Musk and his exploding rockets. I really do not. And Elon Musk, not only is he definitely not a drug addict, but Elon Musk is also such a humble family man of family values. Elon Musk has so much family values, he has character. Just ask all of Elon Musk's 14, is it 14 ex-wives? I'm not sure if it was a 7, 20, 14. We don't know the real number, but anyways, and by the way, Elon Musk would like to remind you that age is just a number. But Elon Musk, so anyways, we should ask his ex-wives how great of a character and a family man Elon Musk is. That's why when Elon Musk was on stage giving that salute, I was like, that is a man of character. That is a man with good family values. Well, truth be told, Elon Musk spread more seed than Monsanto, but still, Elon Musk is such a great role model to our American people. That South African national, that South African national Elon Musk is a great role model to the American people, for sure. And he's definitely probably a role model to the South Africans. And he's definitely probably a role model to the South Africans, of course. I mean, he just walked into the United States and got like these billion-dollar contracts. There's probably all of these Africans like, how did Elon Musk just like walk into the United States and get all these billion-dollar contracts? So Elon Musk is definitely a hero for the South African people. But you know how Elon Musk, you know how we know for sure he has great character? Because Elon Musk didn't take long to expose Trump. Elon Musk did not take long at all to expose Trump being on the Epstein list. Elon Musk only waited a whole year. Elon Musk only waited a whole year as soon as he discovered that he wasn't going to get his next big contract or something fell through with the contract. As soon as Elon Musk wasn't able to get his desired results of his contract negotiations, as soon as those contract negotiations fell through for some mandate or whatever, some EV mandate for some cars or something, EV mandate, as soon as that fell through, Elon Musk was such a man of character that he said, now, after he's waited a whole year and said nothing about this alleged pedophile in the White House, now Elon Musk, this man of character, after this EV mandate stuff, this contract negotiations falls through, now Elon Musk is going to show what a man of character he is by finally saying Trump's in the Epstein list, which we already knew. But thank you, Elon Musk. Thank you. You really are a man of character. You definitely deserve that $200 billion. I would probably give some of that money, a lot of that money, all of it. I would give a lot of that money to homeless American military veterans because, homeless American military veterans and homeless American Canadian military veterans, they did a lot for our countries. Like they defended us, they risked their lives for us. So I hate it when I see homeless American military veterans, and I hate it when I see homeless Canadian military veterans because we can do so much more for these people. Like we could have these people in houses. I know this. This is this Canadian socialist again. Oh my God, this Canadian with all of his socialism. This Canadian with all of his McCarthyism and socialism. No, actually, I don't know what McCarthyism is, but anyways, this Canadian with all of his socialism. He's saying he wants to give houses to homeless military American veterans. What? What is this crazy Canadian socialist saying? He actually wants to give houses and homes to homeless American military veterans and homeless Canadian military veterans. So, yes, I think that Elon Musk, just to really prove that you're a man of character, we should actually, and not just homeless American military veterans and homeless Canadian military veterans. I also, of course, said that especially, but it should be all homeless people. We should really be sheltering all homeless people. And especially also people who risk their lives to defend you. I think homeless American military veterans, it's a travesty that these people have been uh, basically brushed aside and swept under the rug in a term of in a term of a phrase, whatever. In a turn of phrase, really sad how these people were neglected. The American military veterans were neglected. Canadian military veterans were neglected. Russian military veterans were neglected. North Korean military veterans were neglected. So I just caught up on the comments. So um, someone said some. So three things that I saw that stood out. So one, someone said something about the lisp. So I didn't wake up wanting to talk like this. I just the way I talk. I don't know why, but I don't know how to make my voice sound different. Like, what am I supposed to sound like? Hi, I'm from Canada. Hi, I'm from Canada. Or I'm from Kentucky. I'm from Kentucky. Like, how do you want me to sound? Like, you want me to, crikey, mate? I'm Australian. Uh, would you like a deal? Would you like a discount on it to us to fix your computer? Okay, just for $99, we can remove the viruses that we put on your computer in the first place. For only $99, my American friend. Hello, my American friend. For only $99, we can remove the viruses that we put on your computer in the first place. And all you have to do is pay us $99 plus a down payment of so I don't know how you want me to sound. This is just, I'm always been self-conscious about my voice. I don't intentionally sound like this. I wish my voice was deeper. you know, like Barry White. Remember Barry White, that like guy who was like had a deep voice, right? Barry White. Always, I wish my voice was deeper, but it's not. And the next thing I saw, someone said something about um, Elon Musk and his transgender kid. What I don't understand is read up on. Okay, so Lefty's Losing It. There's a segment called Lefty's Losing It where Rita Bahani, who is a news anchor from Australia, who clearly is meddling in American elections, as I should know, I'm Canadian. And this Rita Bahani, who's an Australian news anchor, who, like I said, is clearly meddling in American politics, she loves to make fun of all of these weirdos, so call it these weirdos. And on Rita Bahani's show, on Lefty's Losing It, she will constantly show pictures of transgender people and then she'd start laughing and smiling. Of course, she doesn't say what her smile says because then, she's worried a little bit about being canceled. But she basically she'll show a picture of, she'll show a picture of a transgender person and then Rita Bahani will just do like this funny smile, right? So we kind of know what she means, right? Kind of like when Canadians are doing history class and we're like showing pictures of things like American things, like like the Twin Towers, or what the Twin Towers was awful. What happened? We felt so bad for the good guys. We felt so bad for the good guys, and we really hoped that the good guys would win. And like I said, Canada, we're always rooting for the good guys. So it definitely was really tragic what happened on 9/11. But basically, yeah. So Rita Bahani, she will always take pictures of transgenders, but perhaps because Elon Musk is on her team, perhaps because Rita Bahani is on the team with Trump and Elon Musk. I have yet to see Rita Bahani from Lefty's Losing It post a picture of Elon Musk's transgender family. She posts pictures of everyone else's transgender family, which is probably very interesting. I did not say embarrassing. I absolutely did not say embarrassing. And I definitely wasn't thinking embarrassing either, but I did not say embarrassing. But it's definitely very interesting how Rita Bahani from Lefty's Losing It, she will post pictures of everyone else's transgender family. But if Elon Musk and Trump and Rita Bahani, they're all on the same team, why isn't Rita Bahani now? Wait, so you're posting pictures of transgender people from other families, but what about Elon Musk's transgender family? Why aren't you posting pictures of Elon Musk's? Anyways, Rita Bahani, she gets that Elon Musk money, right? So of course she's not gonna, she's allowed to be a hypocrite. Elon Musk and Rita Bahani and Trump, if anyone was given an award for being hypocrites, it would definitely, Rita Bahani would be given the number one award for being hypocrite, you know? So definitely. Because there's definitely nothing crazier than being crazy. I definitely wasn't going to say there's nothing crazier with, no, I didn't say it, but anyways. Basically, so anyways, to answer your question about the lisp, I don't know why. I'm not transgender. I'm not anything. I'm a normal guy. I'm a scientist. I'm a mathematician. I speak Russian. I speak fluent Russian. And I hope that answers your question. The next thing someone said about, right, Elon Musk's transgender family, I answered that thing. And then the third thing that someone mentioned was talking about planet Saturn. Perfect. Planet Saturn, of course, you've probably noticed that this is the Planet Saturn Club. So why did I name this the Planet Saturn Club? So there are a lot of people around the world that do not have faith in the United States government or the Canadian government. We do not have faith in the FBI to protect us. They didn't protect us from 9/11. Okay? They didn't protect us from COVID. They didn't protect us from the Boston Marathon. They didn't protect us from California being on fire. So sometimes we have no choice but to protect ourselves. Sometimes we have to take protection into our own hands because I cannot depend on the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, to protect my family. I cannot depend on the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, to protect my family. I can't even depend on, even though I've asked them many times and offered to work for them and given them, I cannot depend on the FSB. Anyways, I cannot depend on these agencies to protect us. So, the Planet Saturn Club, it's for a few reasons, the Planet Saturn Club. One, because Planet Saturn is a really cool planet with these wonderful rings, and all of the great scientists were obsessed with Planet Saturn. Like Albert Einstein was obsessed with Planet Saturn, Nikola Tesla thought Planet Saturn was super special. And Planet Saturn, and you think about it like this, why do we have Sunday is named after the sun, and Saturday named after planet Saturn, right? Must be. I mean, it's the only logical explanation I can discover. If you have another explanation, I'm not a history major. I'm not a history major, so if you have another explanation as to why we have Sunday after the sun and Saturday after planet Saturn, it seems to me like Saturday is very special, like planet Saturn is very special. And then on top of it, I did read in a Scientific American magazine, I read in an article that actually one of the moons, one of the orbiting moons of planet Saturn could potentially be more habitable to live on than Mars, according to an article in Scientific American magazine, because planet Saturn has a gravitational pull, and when the moons orbit planet Saturn, they are warmed. They are warmed by the gravitational pull of planet Saturn, and the temperature is actually almost just right to be habitable for humans to live on. So it may be possible, and it may have even been true in the past. There might have been a civilization in the past known as the Saturn people who lived on one of the moons that orbited planet Saturn. It may be possible in the future as well. We could actually move humans to live on one of the orbiting moons of planet Saturn. And now you will be orbiting planet Saturn. Planet Saturn would be like your new sun because you would be orbiting planet Saturn and you'd be living on one of the moons of planet Saturn. And you'd essentially be like the Saturn people, the people of Saturn, the people of planet Saturn. And that is really cool, interesting. So we have to keep an eye on these moons that orbit planet Saturn. If we ever, for some reason, need to leave Earth and suddenly move a bunch of people off Earth, I mean, right now, the only two things that we would have to go, like if we had to leave tomorrow and like without any other idea of any other planets to go to, the closest, I said two things here. I said closest, most habitable, because of course there's probably more habitable planets than the moons of planet Saturn, but those planets are very far. We already know that the only thing close enough is right. So there's two criteria here. There's two criteria: closeness and habitability. And so of course, planet Saturn, the moons of planet Saturn, those moons are close enough and habitable enough that if suddenly tomorrow we just had to pick up and move a bunch of people off Earth, we would probably move to the moons that orbit planet Saturn or Mars. Both, it's a toss-up right now. The scientists are not 100% sure, but they're saying that actually the moons that orbit planet Saturn might be more habitable than Mars. So at least we have two options. So that is the reason for the Planet Saturn Club. It's so that, because, and then the third reason is this. Sure, I am a conservative. I am a conservative Canadian. I am a conservative Canadian and a really bad comedian, but I am definitely a conservative Canadian. And I only identify as a conservative because politics is a necessary, we have to participate in politics. But at my core, I'm a scientist. At my core, I'm a scientist. I'm a mathematician. That's how I identify as. I'm not a unicorn. I'm not an it. I'm not a thing. I'm not a they. I'm not a swamp monster. What I am is I am a scientist, a mathematician. That's how I identify as. So sure, am I also conservative Canadian? I am. But what I really want to identify and what I want to be known for, I don't want to be known as some bad comedian slash Canadian, whatever, what I want to be known for is to be a scientist. So we can take all of these people around the world who are sick of being called liberals, who are sick of being called conservatives, who are sick of being called Democrats or Republicans, who are sick of all this political crap. And instead, we could say, hey, wouldn't you rather be a Saturn person? Wouldn't you rather be a person of planet Saturn? Wouldn't you rather be an astronaut? Wouldn't you rather be a scientist, mathematician? That is way cooler and funner. Is funner a word? That is way cooler and funner. Is that is way cooler and more fun than being a conservative or a Democrat or a politician or whatever, you know. So that's it. It's like we can take all of these bored people. We can say, hey, you stop looting stores, stop vandalizing everything. I know you're bored. We know you're bored. Stop vandalizing, stop looting stores. Let's all get together. We could build a giant spaceship. Imagine if we could build the first Titanic-sized spaceship like they have in Star Trek. Imagine if we could take all of these bored people who are bored and they're vandalizing, looting, and we could take all of these people and turn them into scientists, turn them into potential astronauts, turn them into Saturn people, turn them into a colony, a potential human race of a colony of people that we could eventually move to explore the galaxy, to put on one of the orbiting moons of planet Saturn. Heck, what do we have to do? Do we have to take a spaceship, put a bunch of gold in it, and then, like say, hey everyone, we have this spaceship here that just happens to have gold because they're planning to study gold in space. They're going to bring all of these gold and diamonds and silver into space, and they're going to study gold and diamond and silver into space. We leave the spaceship open. All of these looters and vandalizers, they run into the spaceship trying to steal the gold, right? And then the next thing you know, someone accidentally, hypothetically, I'm speaking hypothetically here, accidentally maybe hits the launch button, and the next thing you know, accidentally, listen, I got a lawyer. So I got 20 lawyers actually. No, I'm just joking. I don't have any lawyers because they're all scumbags. But anyways, what do we need to do to convince people to become astronauts? Because I'm telling you, what's best for humanity is two things. Healthcare. We need better healthcare so we could live to like those Japanese people that are living to in their 90s. We need better healthcare. We need to better protect the environment from pollution. And we need to explore outer space. We need to bring people into space. That's the next step in evolution. The next step in for humanity, for technology and everything, is to bring humankind into outer space. So what do we have to do to convince all of these bored people, these vandalizers, these looters, to turn their life around, stop looting, stop vandalizing, and let's do something fun. Let's do something interesting. Let's do something exciting. Let's get people excited about space and technology. And who wouldn't want to be a Saturn person? That would be so cool. Imagine you're orbiting planet Saturn, living on one of the moons that orbits planet Saturn. And also we need all sorts of people. We need the Planet Saturn Club. We need artists. The Planet Saturn Club. We need musicians. We need accountants. I don't like lawyers because they're lying scumbags. But anyways, look, the Planet Saturn Club, we need all types of people. We need chefs. We need sportsmen. We need athletes. We need spies. The Planet Saturn Club, we need all sorts of people. And we could actually be our own, like the science and mathematics version of the CIA. So we could literally, we're not the CIA, we're not the Central Intelligence Agency, but if there was like a scientist, mathematician version of the Central Intelligence Agency, and of course, I'm not referring to the Canadian version, which is the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. The Canadian Security Intelligence Service is the Canadian version of the CIA. So America has the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. Russia has the FSB, the Federalная служба безопасности of the Kremlin. And then Canada has CSIS, which is the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. But what I'm saying is that we, the Planet Saturn Club, we could be like our own version of that, but a scientist version, a mathematician version. And At the end of the day, I'm not interested in overthrowing governments. I'm not interested in in meddling in politics unless it has to do with science, unless it has to do with bringing us into the future, unless it has to do with bringing us into a new planets and exploring new galaxies, then yes, I have no problem being a spy. But not a spy, but being an advocate, being an advocate for space and science and technology. I want to be on the front lines. I want to be on the front lines on the new frontier, go where no man has gone before, or women, go where no man or sane, anyway, no man or woman has gone before. I want to go where no man or woman has gone before. I want to explore new galaxies, and we can have a whole army, not army, I can't say army, I shouldn't say army, but we can have a whole bunch of people, enthusiastic scientists who want to who are sick and tired of all these dirty, corrupt politicians that only care about money, these corrupt, dirty politicians that only care about money, only care about putting gold in their pockets, and we could turn around and convince, inspire all these people to become scientists, mathematicians, and astronomers and astronauts, and we could finally have our own science political party, our own political party, but a science political party, a mathematician political party, an astronaut, a space political party, right? Not like NASA, because NASA is just straight up astronauts. NASA is straight up astronauts, but basically we are like the political party. Well, we're not of NASA, but you know, I'm just saying in generally speaking, we are like a scientist, mathematician version of a political party, the Planet Saturn Club. Our agenda, the agenda of the Planet Saturn Club, is to progress humanity, is to advance civilization and science, advance science and technology, advance humanity into space, explore outer space, find aliens, explore new planets, potentially start a colony of people on one of the moons that orbit planet Saturn. So that those are like some of the ideas. Those are the general ideas of the agendas of the goals of the Planet Saturn Club. Is to basically have like a political party, but a science political party, and bring humanity into the future, into outer space, have us living longer, etc. And so yeah, we could be like the Planet Saturn Club, could be like the scientist mathematician version of the CIA, of the etc. of CSIS. I don't like saying CSIS too much because I feel like people don't really know CSIS too well. If I say CIA, people know CIA. The CIA has such a bad reputation that everyone knows the CIA. But if I say CSIS, people are like, "What is that? What is CSIS? Is that a drink? Is that a new type of car or something? Is that like?" And I'm like, "No, CSIS is the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. CSIS is the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, and basically they're the Canadian version of the CIA. But people really don't know CSIS too well, so I prefer to say CIA because as soon as I say CIA, people know what I'm talking about. So we have like a mathematician scientist version of the CIA, and that is the purpose of the Planet Saturn Club. So yeah, so hey Joseph, Joe's as AF. Anyways, hey Joseph, yeah. So he says, Jeffrey, I dubbed the owner of the first dibs on Jupiter's islands, although I have no real authority as my name is so. Okay, yeah, Jupiter is is a great would be a great club. The Jupiter people. They could have the Jupiter people who are much more Jupiter than you. The Jupiter people. They could have the Planet Saturn Club, of course, Planet Saturn, because we're definitely the coolest with the rings and everything. They could have Venus, people who have a Venus, who like Venus, people who love Venus, people who are obsessed with Venus, who love Venus, people who are like the Venus people. So we could have the Venus people, we could have the Martians, of course, the Martians, Martians. Um, we could have the Plutonians, the Pluto people, the people who like Pluto, and then of course we could have the Neptunians, the Neptunians. The Neptunians sounds funny, Neptunians, and then of course not forget the Uranus people. We could have all these people worshiping Uranus. We could have all of these people across the galaxy. You're worshiping Uranus, the Uranus people. They could land on Uranus. They could explore Uranus. They could probe Uranus with those space probes. You know those space probes that they send to Mars to probe Mars for like to search for water and hydrogen and carbon and everything like that. Well, we could have Uranus space probes to probe Uranus. So we could have space probes specifically also for Jupiter. We could have space probes for Neptune, and of course we can have space probes for Uranus so that the scientists from NASA can start probing Uranus. So we have Uranus space probes, Neptunian space probes, Pluto if they want to do a space probe on Pluto, and of course planet Saturn, the Cassini spacecraft, the famous Cassini spacecraft that is orbit that is exploring planet Saturn. And so we can have all of these different clubs and everything. It'd be great. There's so much, like, the more the merrier. You know, we have a famous expression in Canadian English called "the more the merrier," right? Um, and we also have another expression called "happy wife, happy life." Um, And I would say, yeah. So yeah, so basically the more the merrier. We could have all these different groups. We could have the Jupiter people, we could have the Saturn people, we could have the Mars people. And I'm sure Elon Musk especially would love to land on Mars. Elon Musk would love to land on planet Saturn, but especially, and I can tell Elon Musk he would love to land on Uranus for sure. Elon Musk would definitely love to land his probe on Uranus, explore Uranus. Elon Musk would love to explore Uranus. I definitely do think Uranus is definitely. I'm getting a lot of feminine. Actually, I do. I do get a lot of feminine energy, feminine energy from these planets. These definitely different planets. Mother Earth. So Mother Earth, right? Mother Earth is a mother. So Mother Earth is a female, right? So Mother Earth is a woman, right? It has this feminine energy. Uh, I wonder if any of the planets are a guy. Like, is there like Mr. Mars? Would they consider Mars to be like have masculine energy? I don't know. Um, but I do know for sure that Mother Earth, we have to protect Mother Earth, keep Mother Earth clean from pollution. We only have one Mother Earth. We really do. Only one Mother Earth. And if we destroy Mother Earth, we have no other place to go. Like I said, right now, the only two places which could maybe potentially be habitable for humans for life would be on Mars and one of the orbiting moons of planet Saturn. Only because they're closer, though. I mean, of course, there probably are other places, but they're much farther, unreachable yet. But that's what I'm saying. The more we probe outer space, the more we start search outer space, we can find that these beautiful planets that probably they have aliens, they have other life, they have ecosystems, brilliant ecosystems. So we need to build up the Planet Saturn Club. And there could be Planet Saturn Club versions of the Planet Saturn Club all over the world. There could be a German chapter of the Planet Saturn Club. There could be a Russian chapter of the Planet Saturn Club. There could be an Iranian, North Korean, Mexican, Polish. There could be a Planet Saturn Club in every country around the world. And so suddenly we're like a big group of people, eh? We're like a big group of people. We're not a gang. We're not like how not you know how NATO likes to gang up on Russia and have all these countries that gang up on Russia. NATO's a big gang of countries that gangs up on Russia. We're not a gang, but we're like basically a large group of enthusiastic people all around the world. German Planet Saturn Club members, Mexican Planet Saturn Club members, Russian Planet Saturn Club members, all of these different members around the world, France, everywhere, Canadian, of course, the Canadian version of Planet Saturn Club. And we could all be like a big group of people that relies on each other. We could have our own political party. We could also do things to support space initiatives. We could do space politics, etc. We could focus on trying to build the first Titanic-sized spaceship. I have always wanted to build a spaceship the size of the ones that you see in the Star Trek. I love Star Trek. Of course, you probably think to myself, "Oh, that's go figure. He loves Star Trek." And I do. I love Star Trek. Star Trek was so inspiring growing up watching Star Trek. I'm not Trekkie. I'm not like one of those Trekkies that like makes us look, Anyways, I'm not Trekkie, but I definitely love Star Trek. And I think, yeah, we could definitely take all of these bored people, these people that all they do is vandalize and loot. We could take all of these people and we could inspire them. We could turn their lives around and make them scientists, make them astronauts. And we could do something productive for a change, something interesting, something cool, something fun. I'm sure a lot of these people would love the idea of building a huge spaceship. Like, imagine we take all of these bored people that are vandalizing and looting. I'm sure at least half of them would be like open to listening to the idea of, oh wow, building a big spaceship. We all get together and we do something productive for humanity. That actually sounds like a good fun idea. So I think it's worth a try, right? To try to take all these bored people and turn them into scientists, turn them into astronauts. Let's get a colony of people going on another planet or one of the moons that orbits planet Saturn. There's so much potential there. And the first logical step is make this Planet Saturn Club big. Let's have chapters around the world. Let's have a German version of the Planet Saturn Club, a Russian version, etc. So that's the purpose of the Planet Saturn Club. Hey, it's not what you think, okay? Like, so here's here. Okay, so I just caught up on the comments, and one of these people in the comments said, "Sorry, let me get your name right, because I do. Thank you for coming. Thank you for leaving your opinion. I respect you." But someone said something. So someone said, "Oh, he actually wanted to work for the FSB." So let me explain what happened. Let me explain what happened there. And this isn't just a joke. Well, it might be half of a joke. It might be a bit of a joke, but what happened? This is what happened. I'm from Canada. I'm Canadian. I'm from Canada. Okay. I'm from Kentucky. Anyways, I'm from Canada, and yes, I wanted to work for a intelligence agency. I always considered myself to be intelligent, although I kind of think maybe I kind of question that now. But I always wanted to work for an intelligence agency. I didn't think of CSIS at first because CSIS is like, CSIS is Canadian, and anyways, Canada, anyways. So I wanted to work for the CIA. So I'm Canadian. I applied to work for the CIA. I sent my resume to work for the Central Intelligence Agency. They rejected me. They didn't even give my resume a second look. And I spent like 5 hours putting together this perfect resume, explaining to the CIA how trustworthy I am, that I would never betray the CIA, that I love the Central Intelligence Agency, I'm a Canadian, and I love Americans, and I would never betray the CIA, and I love the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. And I spent 5 hours putting together this great resume. I submitted it to the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, and they never called me for an interview, nothing. They completely ignored me. Okay, in the CIA how trustworthy I was, that I'd never betray them, that I would never, ever betray them. So, of course, I felt hurt that the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, rejected my application. And what did I do? I thought, well, I'm going to go and apply for the FSB. And I went to the FSB and I said, hey, Russians, FSB, the Federal Security Service of Russia, the FSB. I said, I can't believe it. I spent 5 hours telling these Americans how trustworthy I was as a Canadian, telling them I want to work for the CIA, that I would never betray the CIA, that I love the CIA. I spent 5 hours putting together this great resume, and that the Americans totally snubbed me. Okay? And they didn't believe how trustworthy I was. And now, because they wouldn't hire me, hey FSB, why don't I work for you instead? And the FSB said no too. So that's basically what happened. Well, the FSB didn't technically say no. They said niet. So if I'm going to be very honest, the FSB actually didn't say no. They said niet, which niet means no in Russian, right? So they actually, the FSB agent that I talked to, no, I'm just joking. I didn't talk to an FSB agent. But if I did talk to one, hypothetically, probably, if I did talk to one, he did not say no in English. He said niet in Russian. So technically speaking, if I were to have to explain the story in front of a tribunal, I would say the Russians technically did say no in Russian when they said niet, which counts as a no. So I do not work for the Federal Security Service. I do not work for the FSB officially. Not really. I don't. I wish I did. No, I'm just joking. I wish I worked for the Russians though. The Russians are cool, you know. But recently, there's all those YouTubers. They're on YouTube and they're like, hey, you probably watched all of these spy novels and you thought Russia is this cold, dark place. Russia's so cold and dark, and you thought Russia is all full of these spies. But look, I'm a Russian YouTuber, and look, Russia's not like any of those things. And I'm like, so why did I spend years learning Russian? What? Russia's not this cool country with all these spies. Russia's not this cool place with the secret space program and these secret weapons. Russia's not this cool place with all these beautiful Russian spies that are FSB agents. So why did I spend all these years learning Russian? You mean Russia's just this boring place like every other country? Russia's just as boring as every other country? Then why did I learn Russian all these years? I should have learned the German. I should have learned German. Germans are cool. Germans got spies and shit. Germans got spies. They got cigars. Germans got secrets and espionage and hidden weapons everywhere. The Germans are cool. Learn German. Don't learn Russian. Because, like these Russian teachers said, oh, Russia, you thought Russia was this deep, mysterious, dark place with Russian spies. But actually, Russia, the Russian people, we're just like you. So why did I learn Russian? Russia's boring. Russian is boring. Russia's boring. Learn German. The Germans are cool. The Germans are, you know, I was in Germany for 3 weeks, and after only 3 weeks, I was already the head of my own gang in Germany. Like, that's how cool Germany is. You go to Germany, you'll be the head of a gang in 3 weeks. So learn German. Russian is boring. But no, all jokes aside, for real, I do speak fluent Russian. I studied Russian for years. I mean, basically, when I was trying to figure out which foreign languages I want to learn, I looked at the world map and I'm like, well, Russia's the friggin' biggest country in the world. Like Russia's everywhere. Like Russia's huge. Russia's gigantic. Russia. You turn on, sorry, something's, what the heck is on my computer? Anyways, you put on the map, you look at a map of the world. Russia is like gigantic. You'd be stupid not to learn Russian, you know? I always thought to myself, you know, all of these brave Canadian soldiers, great, wonderful. But my backup plan, if Russia did invade Canada, is that I could blend in and speak like a perfect Russian. So if the Russians invade Canada, I'm all set because I already speak Russian and I can even pass off as a Russian. So. But of course, no, of course, our first plan, I said that was a backup plan for survival. The backup plan for survival is to bend over for the Russians. But the first plan for survival, which is plan A, is obviously to be that brave Canadian soldier that stands up to Russia or the United States, because right now it looks like we're going to be invaded by both sides. The Americans want to invade us, make us the 51st state, and the Russians want to come from the other side. So be that brave Canadian soldier and stand and say, no, no Russia, no United States, no Chinese people who are already here, no Russia, no United States, nobody, no one will take over Canada. Canada will remain free, true, north, strong, and free, and does anything for money. That's the Canadian model. Is true north, strong and free, does anything for money. That is the Canadian model motto. So I love Canada. I would never betray Canada. I would never betray my country. And I always do everything that's best for Canada. Whatever's best for Canada, I would do. Heck, if Canada making a secret alliance with North Korea is good for Canada, then that's what we need to do. Whatever works for Canada, whatever's the best for Canada is what we need to do. If Canada needs to like invite all of these Iranians to come live and work and populate Canada, and let's have party with the Iranians, then that's what Canada needs to do. So, all I know is Americans, you guys got problems. You guys seriously got problems. Your whole government, it's as if we're like living in a total recall movie. Because it's like one day California's on fire. The next day we got COVID, or no, what was before? So COVID, then California's on fire. All of these planes are crashing. All of these planes are crashing. There was 9/11, of course. There was, mad cow disease. There was the Flint, Michigan water scandal crisis. There was all of these, there's all these scams, earthquakes and stuff, the floods in Texas. And then the most weirdest of all is for 2 years straight, no, 4 years, 5 years, for 10 years, for like 20 years, they were talking about this Epstein list, this Epstein list, and this Epstein list, Epstein list, Epstein list, Epstein list. And then suddenly Trump says the Epstein list never existed. It was all in your mind. It was this big illusion. It was this big illusion in your mind. You thought there was an Epstein list, which we talked about for 20 years. Why would you think there was an Epstein list that we talked about for 20 years? It was just a big illusion. It's as if we're in a Total Recall movie. It's as if all Arnold Schwarzenegger's gonna come in and say, "Come with me if you want to live." No, that was Terminator. But anyways, if as if Arnold Schwarzenegger's gonna come in this Total Recall movie, and it was all an illusion. It was all in our minds. Suddenly, for 20 years, we thought there was this Epstein list, but Trump turns around and says, "What Epstein list?" Pam Bondi says, "What Epstein list?" So, there you go. That's the end of that monologue. Clearly, I guess maybe we are in a Total Recall movie. It's all an illusion. We are living in an illusion. Well, whatever the illusion is, I speak Russian, so I'm all set. I'm good. So someone says, my name is again. Hello, my name's. I am going to make one of your comments the like the pin. I'm gonna pin one of your comments. So don't forget that's uh yeah. So you have a comment here that says if you don't read the newspapers, things are pretty chill. To be honest, Um, I don't know if that comment is so politically correct, and I want a politically correct comment. So I'm gonna pick this one where you talk about Obama as. Oh, no, I'm just joking. No, no. Let me find a really good comment though that is pretty chill, pretty edgy but chill at the same time. You know what I mean? Because okay, I agree with everything you said, most of what you said, 99% of what you said. I agree with what you, but I also don't want my stream, I don't want my YouTube channel to suddenly go down, so I can't pin certain comments that you did, but I'm gonna find a good comment and pin it, because I do appreciate all the comments. Um, Okay, here we go. I will be your main competition. Planet Jupiter Club versus Saturn Club. That's good. I love competition. Unlike Trump, Trump will pick an idiot to run against him. You remember that Mortal Kombat movie? Remember, I'm in my 30s, so I don't know how old you people are, but I remember in that Mortal Kombat movie where, Shang Tsung was such a coward. He could have picked, originally, he could have picked Liu Kang or Johnny Cage to fight, but no, because Shang Tsung's a coward, he wants to fight the girl. Shang Tsung wants to fight Sonya Blade. And even Sonya Blade is like, uh, I don't want to fight you. Like Sonya Blade, like the one thing about Sonya Blade is she was a sane girl. Like she was a sane woman. She knew her capabilities. She's like, I don't want to fight Shang Tsung. He's got like stuff coming out of his, anyways. So, but Shang Tsung was such a coward that he wanted to fight Sonya Blade so badly, right? And so that's like Trump. Trump's like, no, I could pick that guy. I could pick that guy. I could pick Bernie Sanders. No, Kamala Harris. I choose you. Trump is like the Shang Tsung of politics. Trump is the Shang Tsung of politics. If he's gonna have controlled competition, controlled opposition. If Trump's gonna have controlled opposition, he doesn't want to fight Bernie Sanders. He doesn't want to pick anyone else. He wants to go up or who was the other person that was promising? Anyways, he picks Kamala Harris. Trump is the same Chang Song of Mortal Kombat. Trump wants to Kamala Harris, I choose you. The woman who fell out of the coconut tree. Trump wants to go against the woman who fell out of the coconut tree or whatever. So, but yeah, no, I like competition, and that's why. Hey, Planet Jupiter Club. Yeah, if you want to be more Jupiter than me, then go ahead. Be my guest. Be more Jupiter. Start your Jupiter Club, Planet Jupiter. The more science, the better. The more mathematicians we have, the more astronauts, the more science. Let's make science fun. Let's make science entertaining. Let's make science interesting again. Yes, definitely. I do know that I have seen also reports that Jupiter apparently may also have moons that definitely could be habitable for life. Um, I guess I chose the planet Saturn because planet Saturn visually is more. I think it's because I went to marketing college and I have a degree in marketing. So I definitely think Jupiter is definitely is definitely valuable. Is definitely a valuable contender. I definitely do agree, but just because I was trying to start this club and I really wanted to get it to have momentum, I picked Planet Saturn because Planet Saturn is very visually stands out. It's stunning. Planet Saturn visually. The rings of Planet Saturn are still a mystery. We still don't know. And of course, Saturday, like we don't have Jupiter Day. Well, I guess we do have Jupiter Day. Like if I'm sure Kamala Harris is like the queen of Jupiter Day. But anyways, the more Jupiter you can get. Anyways, I love Jupiter people. I love people who are more Jupiter than me, especially. But anyways, we don't have like Jupiter Day. We have Saturday, right? We have Sunday. So the whole fact that Saturday could be named after planet Saturn, Sunday named after the sun, Saturday named after planet Saturn. Obviously, that really grabs people. Like suddenly, people when they think, "Oh yeah, yeah, Sunday after the sun, Saturday after planet Saturn. Why is it Saturday? It must be after planet Saturn." So it really grabs people. So that was like the main hook that I used really to get people's attention. But you're right, Jupiter does have a lot of qualities as well. I just was worried that also that people would make jokes about how much more Jupiter I was than everyone else. So, but anyways. But Jupiter is definitely great. Jupiter is a contender for sure. I would be happy that the main rival of the Planet Saturn Club was Jupiter for sure. Or Sonya Blade, because Sonya Blade, did you see how she fought in that Mortal Kombat movie? No wonder everyone wanted to fight her. Also, because she was beautiful. Two reasons why all the guys wanted to fight Sonya Blade. One, because she's gorgeous, beautiful. And two, because I don't think it would have took much to win. Like, just no offense. But not the no. Hold on a sec. Not the Sonya Blade in the most recent movie. Oh my God! Did you see the newest Mortal Kombat remake with the new Sonya Blade? Oh, that she could rip you apart. That new Sonya Blade. No, no, no way. So, if me, a scientist, a nerdy scientist, if I had to fight someone, I think I'd have better chances with the Sonya Blade from the original Mortal Kombat movie in the '90s than the new Sonya Blade. That new Sonya Blade, she rip you apart. So. Actually, I will say though, no, for real though, and then I'm gonna wrap up the live stream. But I'm gonna say though, the Sonya Blade, the one thing I did admire from the one from the original, the Mortal Kombat from the '90s. So if you look at strategy, she had everyone underestimating her. And what did she do? Right when it counted, right at the last second, when everyone thought they underestimated her, she is like, that's it. Time for I've had enough of this. Like, it's over. It's time to end this fight. Like, Kano, right? Remember Kano, the famous scene with Sonya Blade and Kano, and he's like, "I studied all your moves. Give it up, honey. I studied all your moves." And she's like, study this," and she does a big uppercut, and Sonya Blade gives an uppercut to Kano, and she's like, "Study this." Right? I love that line, "Study this." That's like amazing. Study this. So Sonya Blade gives a big uppercut to Kano, and she's like, "Study this." And then when she's on the ground, and Kano thinks he's got it in the bag, Kano's so cocky. Kano is so cocky, he thinks he's got it in the bag. And then what does Sonya Blade do at the very last second when everyone has underestimated her and no one sees her as a valid opponent? Sonya Blade comes in with those legs, and she just woo, takes them out. And so that goes to show you that it's not over until, like, basically never give up, right? It's never over. Even though you got kicked in the ribs and you're on the stand and you're embarrassed and everything. And you got tasered a few times, and then the American police, like, they put triple handcuffs on you because for some reason they thought you were this Canadian spy spreading socialism. No, anyways, it just goes to show you, it's never over. There's always a chance. And so Sonya Blade, everyone underestimated her. They thought she was weak. Shang Tsung. Who knows? Maybe she even would have beat Shang Tsung. Maybe if Sonya Blade did beat fight Shang Tsung in the movie, she might have beat his ass too. Who knows? We don't know for sure. Because she put up a front. She pretended maybe she had everyone underestimating her, and at the last minute she like totally took out Kano. And so that's the kind of person I want on my team. I want someone that you underestimate, you don't think is a threat, and then the next thing you know, boom. Kind of like um, who was good in the wars? Who was like a I don't know. I guess Japan really. Japan is just. I would love to have Japan on my team. Definitely, if I had to work for an intelligence agency, I for sure would work for Japan because the Japanese people, they're smart. So the Japanese people, like, they got Like, if you've seen the technology they have in Japan, Japan is cool. They got sushi, everything. I definitely, yeah, definitely for sure. If I had to work for an intelligence agency, I would definitely work for Japan if I had to work for one. But I don't work for any of them, so. But yeah, Japan's great. They're like everyone kind of, and I bet everyone kind of underestimated Japan, even in no, sorry, no one underestimated Japan in World War II. Japan was feared actually, so Japan wouldn't be a great example to compare that to Sonya Blade. I don't know what would be compared to Sonya Blade. Probably, I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Maybe Russia. Yeah, Russia would be Sonya Blade because first off, when you play Sonya Blade in the games, you can actually have a Russian outfit on Sonya Blade. And two, everyone did kind of underestimate Russia in World War II because look at Germany. Germany thought that they were going to pull one over on Russia, and at the very last minute, Germany invaded Russia. And then what did Russia do? Russia sat back and said, "Good luck trying to get through this cold weather," and they let the Germans freeze to death. So there you go. The Russians they totally pulled it off in the end. They won World War II, and the Russians proved themselves. Everyone underestimated Japan, probably underestimated Russia. The Germans underestimated Russia, and Russia came in at the end. So that's definitely what I want to do. I want everyone to underestimate me, and at the very end, you know what I'm gonna do at the very end? At the very end, this is what I'm gonna do.